Alrighty. I am just going to start talking. I haven't really had a vlog thing of any format in a while. Sorry about the audio quality. You know, gotta walk around cars and stuff. People who might talk and what have you. But basically, I need to get some walking in because one, I just ate like 1,200 calories worth of Oreos. So yeah, there's that. Not exactly the healthiest habit, although I will admit, despite the fact that that's something that I've done on a regular basis. When I say regular, I don't mean that I do that like every day, but it's more of a it's infrequent enough that it's not, well, it was frequent enough that it was a habit. And, you know, yes, I'm trying to change my eating habits. For the last week, I've, oh, man, kind of feel it trying to come up. That's horrible. Anyway, I've been trying to, like, weigh my food. Oh, there we go, even better. Oh yeah. So I've been weighing my food, like, every meal. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to, not trying, I mean successfully, really. I've been adding to my food diary, if you will. You know, using MyFitnessPal, and ultimately the two things that I've been saying, okay, this is what has to be done. I have to weigh my food, period. End of story. You know, if I don't weigh it, at the very least I have to properly allocate it in some fashion. So there's that. And I haven't, on this next one, I haven't really done it in the last 2 days. Probably just because the last 2 days have been like, bleh, fuck it kind of days. But it smells like burning wood. Which is weird because it's like 86 degrees Fahrenheit out right now. So whatever. Anyway, something that I have been doing on a pretty regular basis also is consuming relatively healthy smoothies. You know, I've actually started consuming only whole milk at this point. Even though everybody's like, oh my God, it's got so much fat in it. It's like, you know what? Fat isn't inherently bad for you. You know, you need fat. It's a necessity. You know, lipids. Let's use the real term. Lipids. You need lipids. Just like you need proteins and carbohydrates, which are the real terms. They're literally on the packages themselves. So why isn't it lipids? I don't know. Maybe because fat is, it's got some sort of emotional value that people listen to. It's like, oh my God, it has no fat. It must be healthy. Well, okay. Hershey's syrup has no fat. It even claims it on the bottle, a fat-free snack or something along those lines. But it says fat-free. It's like, what do you freaking do if it's fat-free? It's like, it's also gluten-free. It's also vegan, from as much as I can tell. But just because it's gluten-free and vegan and fat-free doesn't mean it's healthy for you. You know, I mean, opening like a bottle of Hershey syrup and just chugging it is not going to be good for you. So just because those sentiments, those labels are on there, doesn't make it good for you. And it's just like, okay, well, why are you drinking whole milk? Why are you drinking milk with fat in it? Well, because milk comes with fat in it. And it comes with, yes, saturated fats. Also comes with unsaturated fats. Mostly saturated, I will admit. Oh yeah. But nevertheless, fat makes you feel full. Now, the right kind of fat, not, like highly processed trans fats, stuff like that. Trans fats aren't even good for you in any way, and actually make your healthy cholesterol lower and your unhealthy cholesterol higher. So that's even worse. So it's like, well, that's why I want to, if I'm going to eat butter versus margarine, I'm going to choose butter all the way. Now, this might sound like the whole like natural thing, and in a way it is. I'm not going to admit that natural is inherently bad, but I'm also not going to admit that natural is inherently good either. Just because something's natural, again, it doesn't make it good for you. If you have a bottle of arsenic in the grocery aisle, one of them, and it says all natural ingredients, it's not something they would be able to sell, because arsenic will kill you. I go down some, plutonium as well. Doesn't mean it's gonna be good for me, even though it's natural. Actually, it might be uranium, whatever. Okay, cobalt and curium. Yay, let's do those. Both, highly radioactive, will kill you, mostly from radiation poisoning, sickness. Which, just FYI, just because something's radiation doesn't make it radioactive. Hell, I have radiation. I emit radiation. Radiation bounces off of me. I absorb radiation. Like infrared, microwave, to a degree. But also one of the reasons why a microwave oven is constructed the way that it is, with that little mesh screen in the front, so radiation doesn't bounce back out and, heat up your testicles and your stomach and stuff. But, oh my God, you have to shield yourself from it. That means it's bad. No, it's all about dosage. It's about how much of a thing are you getting. This is why they have, and I can't remember the name of it, sadly, it's a metric of basically how to kill you. You get X amount of this per kilogram of your weight, and it will either not kill you or will. Well, going back to arsenic, doesn't take a whole lot, like maybe a couple milligrams, if that. Maybe like half a milligram. Water, on the other hand, takes quite a bit more to kill you. In fact, it's very hard to die by ingesting water. It's doable. Don't forget that. It's still doable. But very, very difficult. You have to drink gallons of it in a day. Basically have to only be consuming water. At that point, you're not consuming nutrients. So, yeah. You kind of dilute your body. And if you do it sufficiently enough, long enough, if you effectively increase your dose, then, yeah, you die. That's not even like including things like drowning. That's just drinking too much water can and will kill you. So, okay, the thing that we humans need more than anything else, water, can still kill us even if we consume it the right way. So, is anything safe? Well, yeah. Again, it's all about dose. Salt is safe. Even if every day you ate a piece of red meat that you cooked to, let's say, medium, every day, same piece of red meat, and you shook on about 10 shakes worth of salt, all right? And let's just say that's the amount of salt that you ate all day. It doesn't matter whatever else you ate. You would probably actually consume too little salt. You know, it just for the sheer fact that you need quite a bit of salt in your life. And salt is not just sodium, it's sodium chloride. Where does chlorine go? I honestly don't know. That's something that I haven't yet learned. So maybe you can find out, post a comment somewhere. That'd be fantastic. Or I'll try to find out, if I remember, and post it in the description. Meanwhile, we're going to move on. You know, chlorine isn't even inherently bad for you. Well, why would I say that? Well, have you ever gone swimming in a swimming pool? A lot of chlorine in there. You're not dead. Not that I'm aware of. I mean, if you are dead, please comment. And then what'll happen is we're going to find some scientists and locate you. Because you're the talking dead. And maybe we can make a new TV show out of that. I don't know. Maybe I could also, like, get some sort of notoriety because I found the one living dead person. Who knows? Anyway, moving on yet again. Chlorine isn't going to inherently just kill you. It can cause damage, you know. If you inhale it, drink it, whatever, and it's too much, again, it's dose. If you consume too much of it, effectively what is happening is, what happens when it comes to all of this is that plus how quickly can your body recover, first fight, and then recover from the fight with regards to every chemical component. Now, there are some things that your body is all like, dude, give me more, but don't give me too much. Like oxygen. You know those oxygen bars they used to have? Turns out that was a bad idea. Yes, you need oxygen because, you know, oxygen, you know, goes in your blood and all that stuff. The flip side to oxygen is that it's what's known as an oxidizer, named effectively after itself. Oxidizers just love stripping electrons from other stuff. And, you know, like making, you know, like new solid whole elements. They're all cool. The thing is, when you strip electrons from another element, it degrades that element. Effectively, let's keep it simple here. I'm not a chemistry major. I don't know I mean, chemistry is my weakest subject when it comes to science. That's why I'm trying to learn as much of it as I can, especially in the wake of all of this hoo-ha when it comes to like diet and stuff. You know, I took a anatomy physiology class last fall, and the whole point of it was just to learn shit. Now, there was a lot I had to learn, and a lot I didn't learn because there was a lot of information, and the way the instructor basically taught the class was, here, memorize this list of stuff, which really frustrated the hell out of me because I was like, there are so many other ways we could learn this stuff. If I knew how to know all this stuff, I'd probably be like top number one person in the class. And the worst part is, the people who did it best, it seemed, were the ones who were able to memorize the content, not understand it in a practical and or pragmatic sense. You know, like water is used in almost every single function of our body. Even on the molecular scale, it's like everything needs freaking water. It's like, in order for movement to occur in the sort of macro scale, as it were, you know, me walking, cars moving, etc., they require friction. Now, friction isn't really an ingredient that's a physical thing. It's a part of the physical world. It's a reaction of two things moving against each other. Okay, so fuck it. let's toss that out. Let's say, for all intents and purposes, a cake. Like a normal, everyday cake. Not a vegan cake, none of this other crap. You need eggs in cakes. You need eggs in almost every single bakery good in order for it to be that bakery good. Eggs are like glue for food. It has a bunch of proteins, it's fats and cholesterols. And, you know, with heating and all that other stuff, it just kind of, it's almost like magic. I still don't know the damn chemistry behind it. I wish I did. Nevertheless, for bakery items, of bakery goods, eggs are effectively a necessary item. They're a necessary ingredient. Well, the same goes for water in just about every single physiological process in your body. You have to have water for fucking everything. And some things use more water to process them than you get back. Like, for instance, alcohol. Alcohol is ethanol. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's like some carbons and some hydrogens. There's no oxygen in it at all. None. So there's no water in ethanol. Now granted, I don't know a damn person out there who's drinking pure ethanol. I mean, not even Everclear is pure ethanol. It's close. So, most alcoholic beverages have water in them. And I would say the majority of them have more water than they do actual ethanol. You know, anything above, what is it, 100 proof? Is it 50% alcohol? I don't know of many people who drink above 100 proof when it comes to most things. Hell, I don't even know of many drinks you can get at the bar that are 100 proof. Not many. Again, that's not to say that they don't exist. That's to say that they're very, very unlikely to exist. And if they do, they are pretty much the minority. So, you've got most alcoholic products containing at least 50% water. Well, maybe not, but probably. See, I don't know the makeup of most alcoholic beverages. Could be all sorts of other shit. But it's probably got a lot of water in it. Needless to say, your body takes a lot of water to process ethanol. That was delicious. And it also takes water to produce mucus, saliva, etc. That stuff I just shot out. But that which I shot out contained more than just mucus. It contained other things. Dirt of whatever format. You know, hell, what is it? Dust is mostly comprised of dead skin cells. But what are dead skin cells? They're just dead cells. What are the cells? It's just whatever they were made up of. Probably things like proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates. Most stuff in this world is actually harmless to you. However, there's a caveat to that. It depends on what it is and how much of that thing you get. If your body can't handle, if you're in a room filled with black smoke, the black smoke inherently will not harm you. However, it's the quantity. Your body can't filter that smoke. So what happens? Your filtration system in your lungs gets clogged up. Now you can't breathe. Now you suffocate and die. Yay, we're dead. Why? Because of something that innately is harmless in a greater quantity became harmful. Now, let's go to the other side. Let's say that something in of itself is innately harmful, but because of the lack of quantity, the lack of dose, your body's all like, dude, we got this shit. Look at certain viruses, okay? The flu loves to replicate like mad. This is the reason why every season there's a new flu shot. It's not because we can't get it right. It's not because science fucked up last year or anything stupid like that. It's because the flu fucking evolves and mutates like nuts. Like, seriously, we're talking hundreds of strains. Same thing with the common cold. Common cold is the same kind of shit. Loves to just mutate like crazy because it's a virus, and viruses rapidly duplicate. And on top of that, viruses like to take over their host cell. So it's like, dude, I'm literally the alien from Aliens. And so when I merge my DNA with yours, I'm the same creature, just a little different. I can still do the same shit that I can normally do. I just have a slightly different physiological makeup. My anatomy is varied. So you could say the reason why like the alien and Aliens survives the way it does is because it is a physical manifestation, albeit in a science fiction world, of how viruses actually work. Now, again, I'm not a virologist. I don't know this to be completely accurate, but this is how my mind understands this stuff. And so because of all this, you know, we have to look at the way our lives and how we think about these things are. You know, just because it could be bad doesn't mean it's automatically bad. Go back to the virus. That one seemed too forced. Your body has an automated defense system in it. Okay? So, you know, your immune system, white blood cells, and how they understand stuff. Well, if your white blood cells have never met something, they're all like, dude, what's up? This is weird shit. We've never seen it before. Oh, hey, this thing is screwing with us. It's killing our friends. And we don't like that. So we're going to kill it back. You started killing us, we're going to kill you. Cool? No? Okay, well, fuck you then. You shouldn't have done this. But because you started it, we're going to finish it. And then what they're going to do is they're going to remember. They're going to learn that, these guys over here, they look a certain way, they act a certain way, so we're going to stop them. If at any point in time in the future, they come back. So, profiling exists on a cellular level in our world. How fun is that? But maybe it's because we utilize profiling as the example and how to convey this idea. That's how we define it, how we describe it through an actual human behavior, whereas maybe it's not so much the same. Because otherwise we wouldn't know how to define it, describe it, and it'd be confusing. So, yeah, it's a sort of translation issue there. There are a lot of people at this damn, it's like a cafe of some form. Oh well, I don't care, I'm just gonna keep walking. So yeah, we got viruses that our body's all like, dude, fuck you. And for a little bit, they have some trouble with it because it's new. But then it comes back later and it's like, yo, you came in the wrong neighborhood, fucker. I seen you before. Hell, the virus that can't even be like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong neighborhood. It's like, it just keeps going like it don't know shit. Oh yeah, Earth Cafe. And the virus just dies. You know, before you, as the host of both the virus and the immune system, are even aware, i.e. through symptoms. So you don't even get symptoms, and the reason that you don't get symptoms is because your body remembered, reacted quickly enough, and handled it. Now, where does all this fit in? Okay, again, it's going back to dosage. It's going back to quantity. Now, what happens if your immune system is compromised? Let's say you're already fighting some big disease. Something else that the body's been like, dude, I got to take some time. You know, we're running 24/7, man. Well, again, the situation is going to be the same. It's just like, well, we're going to fight this thing off. Hopefully, however, while we're compromised, some new jerk don't come in. But let's say some new relatively familiar jerk does come in. Okay, cool. Well, we already kind of know that dude, so we're going to just send a small contingent of dudes to mess with that guy. Meanwhile, we're going to fight this guy over here because he's kind of a big badass and he's in the way. Right? Problem. The new dude that just arrived, although he's like the old guy, isn't the old guy. He's a mutation. You know, he's evacuated your system at one point and traveled to other people's systems, you know, the alien thing again, and it's picked up variable hosts along the way. Well, what happens is that over various steps, let's say 30, 40, 50 steps, who knows how many steps, every different person that has traveled, that this thing has traveled through, has evolved through, it has channeled itself through these people. It still survived because it didn't completely die. It was like, hey, I'm going to hitch a ride on you and then leave again. Meanwhile, I'm going to stick around and hopefully grow and do my thing. Well, when you've got 30 or more iterations of the same thing, it's come back with a lot of strengths that you and your buddies of internal warfare don't have anymore, or you didn't have it at all. So he comes in and he's kicking your dudes' asses. Meanwhile, your other dudes are fighting this other guy who's already really strong, that they've never even met before. So now, you have a good chance of dying, even from something as relatively weak as the flu, because of the fact that the flu has become this like super trained badass over like a year. You know, if let's say you got one that was only a couple of iterations down the line, and it was the only guy you needed to worry about, he probably would have been gone after a couple of days. But again, you're dealing with the super flu, if you will, at least because of the fact that A, you're already got a compromised system. So you've already got dudes who have been dying and being replaced with this other first guy who's a badass. He's already a bigger badass than anything you've ever dealt with, because he's not only new, but he's just kind of powerful, whatever. So you've got a problem on your hands. This is when you need medical intervention. This is when you go to the hospital. This is when they monitor your vitals. They provide you more fluids because your body requires fluid to do stuff. So you stop going to work, you stop going to school, you stop trying to create anything, you stop trying to do everything that you do on a regular basis. And all you do is lay in bed, and hopefully you can fucking sleep. And one of the reasons why you want to keep your fever down, you can overheat like a computer. Too much heat causes further damage to your body. So the guys who are all working side by side, they ain't got no cool down. And so they're exhausting themselves. And the energy that they're producing is exhausting the other guys in your body. It's basically like have a bunch of soldiers out in the Middle East with no water. They're gonna die. So you drink a lot of fluid, preferably water, but maintain your, your salts, your sodium and potassium, mostly. Some magnesium and some other stuff in there. And so now you've got a better health situation. Not really overall, because you're still fighting like two things all at once. You're fighting two fronts. I believe at this point you've become Germany in World War II. Maybe World War I. I don't remember. Fuck. I'm not good at the whole, war history shit. But I think it's World War II. If it's World War I, whatever. And not only that, you're fighting the Russians during wintertime. And then you got these badasses who come in and start kicking your ass on the other side. So there you go. You're fighting a two-front war. You need assistance. This assistance, however, doesn't come in the form of some other internal battle. It's external. It would be as if all of a sudden you got a huge influx of personnel and equipment. Like just somehow people were like, dude, here's people, here's equipment, throw them on the line, do their thing. But in reality, it's not. It's more like, here's a bunch of equipment. Hopefully you'll last. That's really kind of how your body ends up working when you're, very, very ill. Not just, every day or every year flu type shit. It's like getting hit with a super flu, but then getting also hit with like a super cold or something even worse. Or worse yet, let's say you get hit with something like Ebola, since that came out, that was happening recently. You get hit with Ebola and then you turn around and get a fucking cold. Because the cold is not just you're sick, which is why the whole idea of, if you go outside while it's raining, you'll catch a cold. It doesn't work. Because you don't catch a cold from the cold. You catch a cold from the cold virus. Now, it's possible that getting colder may compromise you and also increase the hospitable nature inside your body, so that the cold is like, yo, I love this environment now. I'm gonna build a shelter. I'm gonna go Minecraft all up in this place and build a big ass fort inside the cave, inside the mountain, whatever. Again, trying to go back all the way to the beginning of all this. It's dosage, it's quantity, it's how your system fights with preferably superior numbers. Doesn't have superior numbers, then it's a little more difficult, sadly. But your body's pretty badass. Your body can handle a lot. However, there are some things it's not very good at handling. Cancer is one of them. And the reason why cancer is extremely difficult for your body to handle, and typically if you have it, you can't fight it, is because cancer is doing exactly the same thing that all of your other cells do. It's a mutation. That's what cancer is. It's a mutation. However, it's an unchecked mutation. It's gone off the rails. It's decided, you know what, I'm going to mutate because I want to, not because somebody told me to. So in a way, it's like me in the real world. You know, I suck at following orders. Unless I understand those orders. And even then, I just go off the rails and do whatever I want, whenever I want. You know, it's like ADD for cells. Because all mutation is, all it really boils, like to boil it down to the very, very, very easy bits to digest. During mitosis, the splitting and duplicating of the cell, pieces of the cell may be, well, I don't know if damage is the proper word, but let's just use that term. In the process of duplicating and splitting off, the copy may not copy itself very well. It might have a missing protein here. And because of that tiny little protein missing, you have what is known as a mutation. It's like copying a copy. Except your body's really good at doing that. Like, super good. Most of the time, this isn't ever an issue. Occasionally, however, these mutations occur. Here's another thing that most people don't understand. Even if one of your cells mutates, that doesn't mean it's going to survive. That's a very key thing that we all need to understand. Just because a cell mutates does not mean it survives. Period. And through that lack of survival, it dies, and so it doesn't replicate again. So it's the evolution, it's the survival of the fittest kind of thing. It's that which doesn't adapt properly. So you have a cell, generally speaking, it duplicates itself, everything looks cool. Occasionally you also have cells that duplicate and they're kind of fucked up, but they die. Cool. We just recycle. All that stuff that it had, just break it down to its base components, we'll get it back. No big deal. But then, you have a cell that when it duplicates, it's mutated, but a component of the mutation says, look, part of me is different than everybody else, but for whatever reason, I'm cool. I'm not gonna die. This thing that has happened to me has actually caused me to not only replicate again, but to thrive and replicate often. And not only that, but like take over. It's become an invasive species. We have those in the real world. You know, that's why you don't bring rabbits to Australia anymore. Or no, was it frogs? It was both. I don't know. The Simpsons did something on that. I think it was frogs. It might have been both, honestly. But cancer is just another cell where a small fraction of it has changed after the duplication process, and it's all like, yo. Not only do I get to stick around, but I'm a fucking leech in the process. It's like the worst roommate ever, right? I used to be this roommate, so I know. It's a parasite, effectively. And it's a parasite that's really good at copying itself. Because again, most of your cells, when they copy themselves correctly, there's nothing wrong. So it's like a spy / parasite. It says, not only have I been able to correct myself, but for the time being, nobody's even noticed. I'm still cool. I'm not dead. I have lived and reproduced. Bam. And I just keep doing this over and over and over again. I'm awesome. Well, your body, later, once enough of it is accumulated, isn't happy. Body's all like, dude. It's just like your roommate who said he was going to pay this month, and then he didn't pay for the next 3 months. And not only that, he's never washed a single dish, and he never takes out the trash, never cleans his room, he's always leaving crap in his room. It becomes far more obvious after a certain threshold, after a certain point. You realized this roommate is bad for the whole apartment. Maybe one day you see a rat come out of his room. Holy shit, dude's got fucking rats in his room. This is a bad situation. Like, really bad. Well, same cancer. Cancer's pretty damn bad. So now you have this bad cancer situation, and now you got to handle it. But the thing is, the body doesn't know how, because again, the body doesn't go after cells that successfully mutate, or rather, successfully copy themselves. Why? Because they all do it. So it would be like attacking the roommate because he eats. It's not the fact that he eats that's the problem. You know? Sure, if you killed him because he ate, that'd be great, but then that would also mean you'd have to attack yourself and your other roommates. You would have to change your rules of engagement, of how you handle a situation all the time. So that would mean that anytime you walk anywhere and you see somebody eating, you'd have to kill them. Why? Because you attacked the roommate that eats. Okay? Everything that the roommate does, we all do. It just so happens that the thing that this roommate does differently is not inherently bad. Because again, it does it on its own. It does it successfully. We all do it. We are all the same, except he's just behaving differently. The piece of its genetic material that says, I should pick up my trash, is off. Whereas everybody else's is like, when I pick up my trash, I need to turn it on. Or it's on. So, okay, let's not take the metaphor too far down. At this point, this is what cancer is. Cancer is an accumulation of mutated cellular material that has begun to displace the rest of the cellular material within the body. Because of this, it starts to put pressure, like literal pressure, and even figurative pressure, on areas where it exists. So, this is where you get your tumor, your mass. It stays in that one place. Because, dude, it's a pretty cozy ass place. Why not? Right? I'm chill here. I don't need to go nowhere else. All right, whatever. You know, and we kind of look away at him. And it gets bad. And then really bad. Here's where the problem lies. That rat situation. The rat is a sign of something bigger. Of something very wrong. Well, I can't create a direct correlation. Just bear with me here. The rat is effectively metastasis. It has traveled and gone somewhere else. The rat is effectively the living embodiment of the bad behavior of the roommate. It's a smaller but more obvious issue associated with the bigger roommate. And it's actually quite possible that the rat is the reason that you notice the bad roommate behavior getting so bad, because it's gone somewhere else. Again, the rat's more metaphorical in this case than it is analogous. The roommate's more of an analogy. Okay, so the rat is that metastasis, it's the metastasis, as they say. It's traveled somewhere else. And at this point, we don't know how many rats there are. We don't know how big the rats are. We don't know what else they're eating or displacing. So the rats are an obvious sign of a much bigger problem. Now we got to find all the rats, we got to kill them, and then we got to figure out where the rats came from. Bam, this is where you get your scans, like your CT scans. I don't know exactly what scans they use to find tumors. I think it's CT scans. Could be wrong. Probably not MRIs. I've had an MRI on my knee recently. I didn't even see anything wrong. So I don't know what the hell. I can already kind of feel it in my knee, even though I've been walking for like 40 minutes. But, so, again, you have an undesirable accumulation. But this undesirable accumulation has caused a displacement effect. When a rat is in your house, and you know that the reason the rat's in the house is because of the behavior of your roommate, you're going to react differently to everything. When you open a door, when you open a cupboard door, you're going to be afraid there's a rat going to pop out, or a mouse, or whatever. You know, your behavior is going to change. So therefore, the overall environment of the house is going to change. And that is because of this tumor, of this cancer, your shitty roommate. Well, what do you do? Again, going back, you try to get rid of the shitty roommate and his behavior. You know, at first, you would probably said, look, dude, I don't know what's going on here. You know, maybe just because you felt sick. You're like, yeah, we need to step up your game a bit, dude. Rat shows up, dude, you're fucked, you're out. You need to leave. So, what do? You get a specialist, you get a special team, rather, of people who know how to extract this type of person. In this case, probably the cops or the landlord, whatever. Probably the landlord. Like, look, this is the situation here. We need help. So you get external help. You know, and because this is a far bigger problem, again, going actually into the physiology of this isn't something that you can stop. Because, again, the cancer does what it wants to do. And it just keeps replicating. And because it succeeds, it basically is, like I said earlier, it's an invasive species. It's successfully utilizing the nutritional value of the area. It's able to sustain within the confines of the region. It's able to replicate, following all the rules. It's just that it doesn't follow the rules of discipline, of self-restraint. It's like, dude, I can do whatever I want. I've just realized I can do this all damn day. No big deal. I don't care what you think. And that's how it works. So you have to get somebody who knows what the hell they're doing. Thing is that cancer cells, like many other cells, pretty damn small. So, although yes, surgery works, they don't only do surgery. One of the things they'll try to do, chemo. Why? Because chemo basically penetrates your whole body. And if there's really small tumors, the chemo can potentially kill those tumors. Now, unfortunately, your body, again, going back to the idea of dosage and all that, the rest of your body has to handle the chemo too. So you don't want to get sick during this time. So you don't want to work too hard. You don't want to be out and about where you could be sick or around people who are sick, because you're going to be compromised. Your body has to fight off this poison they're putting in your body. But why is it poison? Because of dosage. It's intentionally a poison inserted into your body to kill the cancer. The problem is, it's not very good at isolating the cancer. It's a big giant bomb. It's going to destroy the whole forest. Hopefully, your body's all like, dude, after that, we can handle this. Because even though the cancer does what it does, it kind of takes a while. Seems to be rather slow, most cases. When it gets into your endocrine system, on the other hand, it now has a highway to travel through. And it has all these little nodes that it can stop in and grow. So it's got a highway with a bunch of rest stops to keep eating and to keep growing and keep causing problems. So it'd be like your roommate picking up, getting in his van, leaving the room as it is, but bringing a couple of rats with him. And then he goes to McDonald's and like a rat or two, let's say 2 rats get there, they start breeding at that McDonald's. Now the McDonald's is fucked. But he's gone on, he went to another place. It's kind of like a villain in a movie who just like goes from one place to the next, corrupting the area. But really, is he corrupting it? I guess it depends on how you look at the word corruption. But just spreading. It just so happens that the spread is destructive to that natural area. Although, if he wasn't there, and what his behavior and everything else, if it didn't spread there, it'd be functioning okay, and it wouldn't have any kind of demise. It wouldn't have to compensate. And that's really what it boils down to. It's not really that cancer is evil. Cancer is just doing what it does. Which is spreading uncontrollably. Again, this is why you get the team of professionals to help you get rid of it. It's like an intervention. You get your doctor to give you chemo. You have your family, whoever, help take care of you, keep you on bed rest, make sure you're behaving properly so that you don't exert yourself, so your body can handle the things that it's putting into its system. Radiation is another therapy, but this is more targeted. It's concentrated, as it has to be. It's not concentrated, all it does is pass through, and it doesn't actually essentially heat it up. And that's a lot of things. That's generally what radiation will do, is that it heats up that small spot, hopefully effectively burning it away, vaporizing it, portions of it here and there. And then they go into surgery, they get rid of whatever else they can, and then typically, if you're lucky, with additional chemo post-surgery, it'll kill off the remainder. But when you go in to have cancer treatment, you're never really cured. And here's the reason why. Because unlike the roommate, who has a physical manifestation of behavior, cancer is a really tiny manifestation. Okay, so whatever, that's maybe the wrong way of putting it. Cancer is extremely tiny. We're talking invisibly tiny. You need a high-powered electron microscope to see cancer. Unless, of course, you have a huge mass. So, if you have multiple cells floating about your body that have been able to succeed in staying alive through the chemotherapy, then you still have a chance that cancer will re-emerge. When you have quote-unquote, you have fought off cancer, you're in remission. This is basically your body having said, you know what? Fuck you. I got the TSA now. But for my house. The TSA is in my house. And anytime anybody tries to come in, we're going to be checking. And every now and then we're just going to check randomly. And then also every now and then we're going to have extra dudes come in You know, they could come in and they could do another scan, and the doctors don't see anything. And if you live beyond your original prognosis, you've effectively been cured of cancer. But there's always a chance cancer could come back. And it's not for the lack of trying. It's not because doctors are incompetent. It's not because, they think that marijuana is bad or something like that. I mean, everybody, they want to tout marijuana as this cure-all. But the reason why it hasn't been used is because it hasn't been studied enough. The reason it hasn't been studied enough is because you got a lot of propaganda that has made marijuana hugely bad. People perceive marijuana as this horrible, angry drug. And there are good things to it. But it needs to be tested. You have your hippy-dippy people who are all like, well, big pharma this and big pharma that. Big pharma has more scientists doing more rigorous research than any groupie fucking hippie convent anywhere. And yes, there are complications when you have concentrated doses of a chemical, because again, you're dealing with dosage. Oh, well, if you just smoke the plant, it's cool. Well, what about the fact that when you burn plants, you create carcinogenic compounds that can actually help cancer become cancer. It can help cause mutations to your cells that may cause this rapid, uncontrolled mutation. Does that sound productive? Oh, but that's like super small. You know what? Let's try to reduce it by not incorporating it all. I'm not, if you will, for or against weed. I'm both. I'm for the components of weed that can help people, and I'm against those that can cause problems. Just because, again, it's natural doesn't make it good for you. If you take a leaf or a nugget of marijuana and just chew it, maybe that's better. But maybe not. Maybe that leaf, maybe that nugget of marijuana was in the same soil that had a certain type of virus in it. And now you've ingested that virus. Oops. Oh, did you not know that? Did you know that dirt can actually transmit viruses? I mean, well, how do you think viruses are transmitted airborne? Why do you think you need to wash your clothes and wash your hands and your food before you eat it? Because the stuff that gets on your hands, the dirt, whether it's dead skin cells, whether it's just literally dirt, can carry pathogens. And those things then can get into your system and then cause problems. E. coli. Why do you wash your hands? Why do you wash your fruit and your vegetables? Because if somebody doesn't wash their hands after they take a shit, and then they handle your food while they're out on the farm, well, you might have a problem. You don't want that problem, do you? You don't want E. coli in your food. That sounds bad, doesn't it? Well, let's avoid that. Let's avoid E. coli in our food by washing our food, washing our hands before we touch the food, wash our hands after we take a shit, after we touch our nether regions, because despite the fact that we have E. coli in our system, it doesn't automatically make it healthy for us. It's just a way for our body to help process and create this waste. Because waste is a byproduct of life in general. You can't not have waste. Just like you can't have death, or rather, you can't have life without death. You gotta have both in order for it to make sense. And you know, this whole breakdown thing, when your foods and stuff are broken down in your system, when you excrete fecal matter, this stuff can be used for other things that can create life. Funguses and fertilizer and stuff. A little different because we're omnivorous, and our poop does in fact contain extra stuff. But those things can be broken down too, but not really by us. We're not really, we don't decompose our own poop, hence why it comes out as poop. If we were capable of decomposing our excrement further, well, then it would make sense to keep trying. It would make sense that we wouldn't have anything, but we do. So we got to think about that too. We got to think about the fact that there are other organisms out there that can handle what we put out. But we can't handle what we put out because that's why we put it out. Man, I've been walking for a while, talking for a while. I'm in a part of the neighborhood that I haven't been. It's rather quiet. There's no cars parked out here, which apparently this is the area where you're allowed to park your car later, if you have one. That's weird. Oh man, it's super quiet. Get another drink of water. I'm actually glad that I brought my backpack and my water. I needed this extra. Oops, get in there. I needed this extra exercise. Now just hope, like, you know, nobody calls the cops on me or something. I mean, I'm a white dude in a polo, so maybe I'm not, you know, that intimidating looking, even though I got a big beard. I'm actually sort of kind of close to my residence-ish. I just gotta find the right area. But, you know, not like that big of a deal. I think I'll be heading back to the house. I think I'm more or less done. Oh, man. But no, I mean, I guess my, what? How long has it been? Doodle-doo. My hour-long rant is finally over. And I'm totally uploading this. Completely unedited. Because I want to. Meh. Oh man. Hopefully the quality is reasonable. That doesn't sound like absolute crap. I'm sure it'll sound bad enough. And I don't anticipate anybody really listening for an hour of this. But you never know. You never know. It's kind of nice though to just be walking around, thinking about stuff, talking about stuff. Yeah, in a way, I've learned that I have a pretty reasonable understanding of various chemistries and biologies and stuff. Obviously, I still have a lot to learn. I mean, it almost seems like a personal agenda of mine to learn all this stuff. Like to learn everything about everything. In a way, it's annoying. It's annoying to want to know everything. Because, I mean, there's no way to know everything. Yet, I still want to. You know, it's like I know logically, intellectually, knowing everything is impossible. And yet, I don't know enough. And I probably never will. There's always a question for me to ask. And that's so many times infuriating, but then at other times liberating. You know, it's to know that I can ask questions and have an answer somewhere. That's actually comforting to me. To know that I can ask a question. I'm allowed to. I think that in a way that's the difference between actual knowledge. I don't mean actual knowledge, I mean like certainty of something without the question. It's like saying, I know for a fact what the answer is. I don't have to ask the question. To me, that's arrogant. To me, that says you have nothing to improve upon. You cannot empower yourself further by bettering yourself, by humbling yourself to the idea that you don't know everything. But in a sense, again, there is a knowledge, a certainty, that if I have a question, I can find the answer. In a way that almost sounds like belief in the Bible or God or whatever. Because it's like the people that I understand who have that mentality that say, well, all I have to do is ask God and I'll get the answer. Well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the same. Except instead of answering some human-created lexicon of information, they're simply asking of God, whatever God happens to be. So it could just be they're asking of themselves. And maybe the answer is within themselves. And maybe that is power. To be able to be the answer to all your questions. You, yourself. But what are the questions, too? That's not to say that the questions are, not worth anything, because they are, obviously. And this is where, for me, the intrigue sets in. There's a level of judgmentalism, I will admit, that says, okay, what kind of shitty questions are you asking? But at the same time, it's like, what kinds of questions are you asking? You have the certainty that at some point you'll find the answer. Just like I have the certainty that at some point I'll find the answer. So the question that I must ask is, what are the questions? What are the questions that those who are reverent and spiritual, what questions do they ask? And what answers do they find? Like, can their answers be codified? Can it be written down? And maybe the answers are simple to someone like myself, not because of some lack of value, but maybe they're simple because they're like a language where when you say these words in this order, a certain understanding flourishes. It doesn't even have to, I guess you could say, make sense. Because again, it could be a different language to the people who are hearing it external of those who understand it. So you understand the words that come out of the preacher's mouth, right? And I don't. Well, that's why it's a different language, that's what I'm saying. So I guess then the question is, what's the translation? What is it that he's saying that I don't get? And what is it I'm saying that you don't get? We don't necessarily need each other's language. Then maybe we do so that we can understand each other better, which would be beneficial. But is it necessary? I guess it depends to what end. Is it necessary to what end? What must be understood between the two of us? What are we trying to accomplish by being able to communicate? Most of the time with communication, it's understanding. It's equal footing, it's equal ground. It's non-conflict, which is funny. It's not to say that communication is inherently non-conflict. It's not to say that that's the purpose of it. But that seems to be the result of communication. A byproduct of understood, not just communication, because, yes, communication, because communication is the two-way connection. It's the key and the lock that match so the door opens. That's communication. Two people yelling at each other is not communicating. Two people trying to say their thing and not being heard by the other party is not communicating. That's shoving a key in the wrong door. That's either A, not going to the right door, not finding the right key, or not going and making the right key, or not changing the door lock to fit the key that's there. So the door opening could be the desired outcome of communication. And if I don't have the key to open your door, then either A, I need to go get the right key. I think I pretty much already said this. So when it comes to science and spirituality and stuff, I understand the scientific questions. I know that I can ask the questions. I know what doors I can go to get the answers that I want. So I guess the question for myself is, are there other doors out there that have answers that I want? I just don't know what the questions are. I don't know yet.